John Sego from Texas Right to Life here. Wanted to bring you an important pro-life update about something that happened just yesterday and is still developing. Yesterday afternoon, around 4 o'clock, Governor Greg Abbott, who's been a pro-life champion in the past, he had an executive order that said that it included telling healthcare facilities to postpone all surgeries and procedures that are not immediately medically necessary. The order explains a couple of exceptions if the procedure is to preserve the life of a patient, or if putting off the surgery would put the patient's life in danger. Essentially, this is in response to the COVID virus pandemic that we have, and making sure that our healthcare facilities have the hospital capacity and the personal protective equipment needed to respond appropriately to the coronavirus pandemic. So the governor did release this executive order yesterday to stop all elective procedures, that the medical community in Texas is united to focus on treating patients with COVID-19 and making sure that our first responders and our healthcare professionals have what they need to respond to the pandemic. So this order is really to focus on the most important procedures. So again, it says that all healthcare facilities should postpone all their surgeries or procedures that are not immediately medically necessary. Now, abortion is an elective procedure. It's not needed in the very, very rare cases. Less than 1% is an elective abortion ever done claiming to save the life of the woman. And so there are other ways to deal with complicated pregnancies. And so Texas Right to Life, we read this in the plain meaning of this executive order, that all surgeries and procedures that are not immediately medically necessary should include elective abortions. And so when we look at the wording of the order, when we look at the exceptions, we see that the abortion industry should immediately cease performing elective abortions in Texas to be compliant with this order. Now, the order is a serious order. He actually has, there's actually some penalties, there's some jail time and a $1,000 fine for each violation. And so this is something that the governor's office seems to be serious about. Now, the order doesn't say anything about elective abortions. It just talks about elective procedures not necessary to save the life of the patient. And so what we're expecting, the next few steps, the story is going to develop a little bit. And so, so definitely go to texasrighttolife.com to get the updates, because we've seen in the past during this pandemic and years and years over and over again, the abortion industry has never seen a safety regulation or a safety rule or a common sense regulation that they didn't think they should be exempt from. Anytime the legislature has put in public health concerns, put in safety regulations that would apply to the abortion industry, they're the first in line to run to court to say this should not apply to them. So we're expecting them to do the same here in this situation. We're expecting them to say that there's that the way that it's worded, that it doesn't apply to them. And so we're waiting to see their response. This order came out yesterday at 4 p.m. When the governor said that all elective procedures should stop while we focus on dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. And we have not seen the abortion industry in Texas respond. Now, in the past couple of days before this order, the abortion industry has said that what they do is essential health care. So they've already said that. Now, a lot of pro-lifers said, why aren't they closing their clinics down whenever there were national recommendations, state and local orders for non-essential services to be halted? And we saw that they responded and said, what we do is essential. So we expect them to say that again in response to this executive order, to say that what they're doing is essential. And so we really get down to that of they believe taking the life of an innocent human being is essential health care. But the wording of this executive order that came out yesterday makes it very clear that only immediately medically necessary procedures should continue in Texas. We need to focus on supporting our first responders and those who are helping coronavirus patients, and making sure that they have all the personal protective equipment. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be monitoring this situation. We're going to be making sure that the abortion industry is following this ordinance. executive order, and that we will be sending any tips or things that we find out to the Attorney General to enforce this, to make sure that during this pandemic that we're actually putting saving lives as the top priority and not allow the abortion industry again to argue that they should be exempt from this public health order. And so this is a really important order. We're thankful for the Attorney General and for Greg Abbott's stands in the past for life, and we know that this will be no exception. And so go to TexasRightToLife.com to get updates on this. We will definitely expect the abortion industry to fight back on this, just like they have every pro-life rule that we've worked on and that Governor Abbott has ever signed. And so stay tuned to TexasRightToLife.com to get that update. All right, we'll talk to you soon.